We're live.
Well, hello everyone on this beautiful day on the Oregon coast, September 20th, 2020. My name is Tom Webb. I am the director of the Newport Visual Arts Center for the Oregon Coast Council for the Arts. And I am live streaming here from the Runyon Gallery at the Newport Visual Arts Center. We are here for a panel discussion called Focus on Creativity, the View from Lincoln City. This is the fifth week in the series of the Oregon Coast Art Talks, and which is tied to the Oregon Coast Online Art Show. And we encourage everyone to continue to subscribe to the Art Talk series, as well as to check out the Oregon Coast Online Art Show. The title of this panel discussion is Focus on Creativity, the View from Lincoln City. And we have 5 artists from Lincoln City. And of course, we extend our concerns regarding the fires as well as the pandemic. This panel discussion has been put together primarily by a Lincoln City artist, Sydney Angelique Green, who I will pass things off to shortly. But I just wanted to give a couple some brief demographics of the Lincoln City area to kind of help place us in our discussion. Lincoln City is between Newport and Tillamook. It was incorporated in 1965, relatively recently. It was former 7 communities. Nearby towns include Glenhaven Beach and Otis. It is approximately 5.6 square miles. Its economy is based on tourism, healthcare, and retirement, and has a population about 8,000. So, Sydney, thank you so much for putting together this panel discussion. I'm going to let you introduce our panelists.
Great. Thank you, Tom. Thank you for the opportunity for all of us. We really appreciate it. Our panelists are Ginger Raya, Katya Kite, Nora Sherwood, Sarah Sigkow, and me. I'd just like to say quickly that we do have rolling blackouts here in Lincoln City because of the fire. The power company is putting up the transformers and the lines now. It's been going on for about since we were allowed back in. So I really appreciate you ladies coming up and being here for this panel after all the trauma and evacuation and stuff that everybody's gone through. Thank you so much, seriously. I kind of thought we'd just have a conversation about your processes and how you became an artist. And we'll start with Ginger.
Okay. Okay, how I became an artist. I guess long story short, my birth father was a professional cartoonist. So I started by doing cartoons for small papers when I was just a young teen. And then I proceeded to do ceramics, clay with my mom, and painting when I was about 18. And I stuck with painting, and now I'm 75, so that's a long time to paint. That's a lot of paint.
Do you use oils or do you use acrylics? What is your medium?
For years I used just oils. And when I first learned to paint, it was just oils when I first started. And it was almost all realism. And now I don't know if I've regressed or moved forward, but now I do a lot of surreal, a lot of abstract, and I use acrylic because I paint rather fast and I want it to dry quickly. The blending process is a little more difficult, with acrylics than it was with oil, but it suits my personality because I do things kind of quickly, so it works.
Perfect. Well, thank you.
You bet.
And then we're going to talk to Katya Kite now. How are you, Katya?
Hello, everyone. I'm good, thank you. Doing good. Enjoying fresh air. That's so good to breathe. without your mask on outside. I opened all the windows. It's nice.
Very nice. Good.
I know, as a plein air artist, plein air, maybe some people don't know, it's when you go outside and paint outside. I do plein air with my friend, and we had 2 days a week when we would go for a couple of hours every day. And so for a couple of weeks we couldn't go outside, and so I'm looking forward that maybe tomorrow we'll get our equipment and we'll go and paint outside. I mostly paint from life, so I paint either on plein air or in my studio. I put, sometimes a still life or a floral right in my studio, and that's my focus, painting from life. And I've been doing it for a while. So I moved to the coast in 2008, and that's when I started taking different classes, and I became a member of the co-op gallery. But I guess I was an artist since I was little, and I went to art school as a kid. It was just kind of secondary program, after school program in Russia, where I learned a lot of basics of art and different media.
And where did you grow up, Katya?
I grew up in Siberian Russia, in a place very close to Mongolia. Yeah, and we had an art school there, in our small town.
Great. All right, let's move on to Sarah.
I started art late, I guess. After college, I was having some health issues, and my doctor said, you need a hobby. So I took up weaving, and like most weavers, they said, oh, next you'll want to spin. And I'm like, oh no. And pretty soon I had 2 looms and a spinning wheel. And then they're like, oh, you need to learn to dye your own fiber. And I was like, oh no. And then I did. I moved to a house where I couldn't set up my loom. So I tried to see what I could do using some of the same techniques. So I started dyeing primarily maps to begin with. So I dye them the same way I dye fabric. And then I learned to attach them to different things. So I like the purpose of upcycling. So I would take an old object and cover it in. It started out with little tiny circles that were all cut out and placed over an object. And now I'm stacking paper and cutting them out. So there'll be different heights and dimensions that way.
Wonderful. Oh, and that leaves me, I guess. Hi.
Oh, Nora.
Nora, where's Nora? There you are, you're hiding. Sorry.
Oh, that's quite all right. Well, thank you so much for setting this panel up and for having us all. It is nice to take our minds off of everything that we've been going through recently. So I actually am a science illustrator. I'm not really truly an artist. I pretty much just illustrate what I'm asked to illustrate. And I come to this very late in life. In 2013, I quit my job in high tech. I was in geographic information systems since 1987, and went to the University of Washington and got a certificate in science illustration. And that was a year-long program. And while I was there, I realized I wasn't very good at basics in art. So they sent me over to the Gage Academy in Seattle, which is this fantastic program. And I took a year there of basic drawing and basic color theory. And then we moved down here after that. And I've been working for like museums and agencies and organizations, cities that need artwork for various things.
Fabulous. And now it's my turn. So I have been an artist since I was little, but I've found that I've been in many different fields. I've been really fortunate that I've been able to move around the world and do, write and publish and do screenplays and work in the film industry. So I've gotten a lot of things. And lately, now that I'm old, I have gone back to painting, which I love. It's a process that I never studied, and I don't care. Frankly, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and there's really no set agenda in my life or in my painting. So I use acrylics. I'm having fun with all the different modeling additives that you can add to the acrylic and make the texturizing process work. I have a question that I'd like to ask everyone briefly. Ginger, what would you tell your younger self if you had one thing to tell them about being an artist?
You know, I would probably, because I just figured this out not long ago, so I wish I would have known it when I was younger. You don't have to be, what your work does not have to be everybody's favorite. So I think so many people are afraid of becoming disgruntled because other people might look at your work and go, yeah, I don't know, I don't really like blah, blah, or whatever. But then I realized as I went on, that isn't the significant part about entertaining the arts. It's really not. It's what does it bring to you? And if you can instill any kind of an emotion in the onlookers, whether it's happy, sad, mad, or glad, that's good. You know, just get people thinking, and that's what I would tell myself. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to love what you do.
Amen. All right. Now, Katya, what would you tell your younger self? Excuse me.
I would tell my younger self to fully accept myself, with everything, and absolutely just follow my own path. And I think complete, acceptance.
Complete your mission on the planet.
That's right.
All right. Nora, what would you tell your younger self?
Gosh, that is a great question. I think I would tell my younger self that life is long and there's lots of different chapters and they're all going to be interesting in their own way. And I really liked what Ginger said about not everybody's going to like your art, because it's mostly realism, and that is just not everybody's cup of tea. And the first few times I saw somebody's eyes just glaze right past my artwork, I'm like, oh, that's okay. So I totally agree with that one. And and it's just really interesting to notice, as I'm pushing 60, that there are all of these different, like, huge different things that you're going to do in life, and whatever you think you're going to be doing now is not necessarily what you're going to be doing always.
Exactly. Ginger. Oh, we talked to Ginger. Sarah. Sorry, Sarah?
I would say that it's okay, teach myself that it's okay to experiment, that just because you try something doesn't mean that you have to continue to do it. That sometimes you learn more from those mistakes that you thought, oh, this will be really fun. And you might decide that you really did not like the outcome, but you might be able to take something from that experiment and use it somewhere else. So you don't always have to make something that ends up being something. You can just play around and see what's going on.
Absolutely. Tom, what would you tell your younger self?
Oh boy. I didn't know I was going to be on the.
Oh, you're our director here. Go talk to us.
I would say that that the ability to. I'm primarily a writer in my creative work, so I would say the ability to communicate and write and speak well is invaluable in everything you do. And I don't think I realized that as much when I was younger. So I think those skills, visual art is a form of communication in a way, but the ability to communicate well, I think, is extremely important in everything that you do. So I just made that up. But
thank you.
I was also very impressed. was also very impressed by everyone's background images and all the artwork that they are displaying. And I think people are showing some of their work from the online show. So at some point, Sydney, Angelique, when you think it's right, I'd love for people to talk about the artwork that they are showing on their screen.
Why don't we do that now? Why don't we do that now? Ginger, you have a piece behind you. Talk to
Yeah,
us.
that's my crazy chicken. You know, I love color, and that's funny because most of my clothes are black, but I love to look at color. That's probably a throwback to my mother saying chubby girls should wear black, but that's what that was. But I love the color, and I love shapes, and of course composition, the whole thing. And that's really what that chicken is about.
Love it.
And yeah, that's what he's about.
All right. Katya, what are your paintings behind you? Which one's in the show? You have several back there.
I have the large one, the framed one in the show.
Okay.
And that painting, I like doing, you know, to discipline myself and paint every day or paint as often as I can. I do challenges, and I've done so many challenges. That one was one of the Strada easel challenges, and that was the final painting. And I was painting a lot of florals. So Strada challenge does it, I think, 2 times a year. They encourage artists to participate, and they could win an easel, which is a great quality, expensive easel. And I signed up and I was doing it. And that was my final painting, where I collected all the flowers that were still good, and I made a flower arrangement just to kind of, you know, I really like color. I like flowers. I think, you know, focusing on celebration of color and flowers, it's just such a, I don't know, just adding, you know, some beauty to life. And I love having flowers in my house, and I'm trying to share it with people too, and I hope it communicates well. It's like, you know, joy and color and celebration of life. So I think this painting was, for me, just a celebration, ending of this challenge, and it was a celebration of these flowers. And guess what? I was one of the artists. I think there were 5 artists who won the easel, which was amazing because there are so many artists that do that, and so I'm very excited about that.
Great, congratulations.
Thank you.
Nora, where's yours?
Thank you. So the one that's in the show is these ospreys here. And the light's not the best for them, but they are, and then this other one is black oyster catcher. So I do a lot of birds. I'm asked to paint a lot of birds. And so these are 2 birds that I paint, 2 pairs of birds that I painted on behalf of the local Audubon Society. The osprey is one of the birds that we're really interested in because we have about 10 pairs here in Lincoln County that that we keep an eye on. And then the black oyster catchers is the mascot bird for our Rocky Habitat focus on doing some additional land protections on the Rocky Habitat. And these 2 I actually painted. They're supposed to be the front and back of a grocery bag that we were going to produce.
Fabulous.
Yeah, that we were going to produce. And then COVID hit, and grocery bags are
non-existent.
Yeah, so we're waiting right now to get these produced. 2 things really. You can't, the issue of using recyclable grocery bags
Exactly.
got fraught in our grocery stores. And the other one is that shipping of these products from mostly, I wanted to do recycled bags out of China using recycled you know, plastic bottles, and the shipping back and forth from China is just, it's a real challenge right now. So the project's on hold, but I have these 2.
They're beautiful.
That are eventually going to get on grocery bags.
Excellent. We want one. Okay, and now Sarah. Sorry, I'm looking at my list of people alphabetically and I forget where I am. Oh well. Go ahead.
fortunately, the piece I have in the show sold, but this one, and I know mine's are kind of hard to see. This is the opposite. So the one in the show was the pieces that you cut out the centers. These are the centers of the one from the show. So it's an opposite of the one
So
that.
this is a woven technique
This
that you've
is-
created?
No, this is all paper stacked on top of each other. So there's
Stacked
about
paper.
um,
Good.
about 250 different pieces in this one.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. It's beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay. So this, I don't know if you can see it or not. This is the piece that I have in the show. And basically, I don't ever know what it's going to be before it happens. It's kind of like my life. I make plans and then it goes, okay, whatever. So it's acrylic. It's of the beach. I did see several times here in Lincoln City, I've noticed that it's one of the few places I've been that you get the spray from the surf crashing on the shore. And I love that. I just love that beautiful spume of spray. I don't know what you'd call it officially, of course, but it's acrylic. I'm heavily Egyptian and history oriented. I love ancient history. And when it came together, the sun turned into a chariot, and it reminded me of the chariot of Ra, going across the sky, looking down on the ocean, which I feel is the mother creator. And there it is. That's it. I did another one. This is the COVID response, which again, I have no idea what we're going to see here. It's big. It's very big. And the theme of it is holding back the darkness, holding back all the negativity, all of the fear that everybody is getting into because of this weird germ that nobody can see, trying to stay positive, trying to bring in light. I try to do energy work, energy paintings. A lot of it, you can't really see the energy, but I try. And that's what that's all about. Were there any questions? I'm sorry, go ahead, Tom.
Oh, I was just going to ask Justin if we had any questions or comments.
None are coming in yet.
Nothing yet. Okay. Well,
Okay.
one thing I just realized is kind of interesting is all five of you are not native to the Oregon coast, as far as I can tell, which is interesting because you often find that there's so many people here that are native. So I thought I'd just ask you both what brought you to the coast and kind of your thoughts about the creative community there in Lincoln City. And I know that some of the primary creative resources are the Lincoln City Cultural Center and the Artist Studio Association. But anyway, just your thoughts on the creative community on the coast and at Lincoln City, and again, what brought you to the area?
Katya, do you want to address that? Katya has been very, very involved, I know.
That's right. I was one of the founders, I guess, or first people that was a member of the co-op gallery in town. So I've been here for 12 years. And what brought me here in Russia, I graduated the linguistic university and I was working as an interpreter. And one day this handsome, I was single, and one day this handsome tall American shows up to work with us in Siberian Russia. And he ended up, I guess I ended up marrying him. And I ended up at the coast. It was Neskowen. And just a little bit, you know, I was in a big city at a time in Russia, and it was about 650,000. So it was a big change to move to Nasko, and that I was planning to walk places, and apparently that's not how it works. And yeah, my husband was kind of like, I don't think you can walk, you know, places. So we moved eventually. We moved to Lincoln City, where I was looking around. I'm like, oh, it's interesting. What can I do here? And so I read that many people were into arts, and there were many artists. And I found the Artist Studio Association, and I met a lot of artists there. I started taking classes, and they were super supportive. You know, art education in Russia is really kind of, how would I say? Like, you know, you just need to have like discipline, and here people were supportive, like, oh, you're doing great, you know. And I was like, that's different, you know, it's not how I'm used to. So it's like, do what you love, and, you know, experiment. I'm like, oh, that's different. And so that was interesting. That was so different for me. It was amazing. And at the co-op, it gave me an opportunity to try different media. You know, it was just, people wouldn't say like, oh, well, that's not your style, you know. And I was experimenting. So it wasn't like, I didn't have my style yet. So maybe it was too soon, but that happened, and I'm proud of it. And so I got to meet Krista Eddy. I also worked at the Fried Gallery, so I got to meet Lee Fried and Kirk Jonasson, and they my, you know, Kirk Jonasson and Krista are still my friends. And Krista is the director of the Chessman Gallery in Lincoln City, and she puts up shows every month, which is amazing. And I've had a couple of shows with the Chessman Gallery. I met Joanne Daschel, who is a mosaic artist. Also, we have Ben Sobey, who's my neighbor. He lives not that far away. Kelly Howard became a huge part of my development. She is the glass blower, and she owns a glass studio in Lincoln City that has a big influence. Also, Jill Townsend, she had a live drawing some time ago, and she was a sculptor. So now we're painting together. So that was a big deal. Also, I'm getting to know Lisa Rakunin over Facebook. So, and of course, you know, Nikki Price has a huge support for our community here. And like I said, oftentimes when they had, so they didn't have real openings since COVID, but we used to meet at the Chessman Gallery once a month, and we would just stay connected by that and just, you know, check what everyone is doing. And so later I met Nora. I don't remember when I met Nora. I know that Ginger was taking live drawing classes. I met her there. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Does anyone else have anything to say about the Lincoln City art community? Go ahead, Nora.
Yes, I do have something to say about the Lincoln City arts community. Holy smokes, what Katya was saying about how warm and welcoming the community here is. I wasn't doing art before I moved here. And I didn't really know what to expect. But coming in as a freshly minted certified science illustrator, you know, I just had no earthly clue. But the ASA kindly scooped me up and asked me to do some teaching, and I did that, and that led to other opportunities to do teaching. And now in Zoom world, I'm doing quite a bit of teaching art and science illustration topics. And, you know, like I really noticed when we came here, after I finished science illustration school, I realized there's two kind of things that happen. You start to like a community, but also the community, all, you know, it brings you in and nurtures you.
Embraces you, yes.
It's just incredible. Like Katya mentioned, the Cultural Center, the Artist Studio Association, Sitka, the galleries, it's, and just one-to-one artist relationships here are, wow, yeah. It's really made a difference to me.
It's a blessing. Anybody else got something to say? Okay, Tom, back. Did we get any chats yet?
No.
Nope. Okay.
Why don't we open it up and see if the artists want to ask each other some questions?
Okay.
See if-
So Sarah, how has your accident impacted your art?
Well, I can't stand at the moment, so a lot of the things I do require cutting, which the best way to cut things is standing up. So I am not doing much of that now, but I am doing a lot of sketching to see, to maybe have ideas further on. And I've been watching a lot of videos and that sort of thing to kind of keep that ability to think that way going. So been looking at basketry or something like that I can sit here and do instead of having to stand up. So hopefully the first of the year I can start again.
Yes, we'll have to get you and Nora together to do some Irish dancing, okay? You got a goal now.
There we go.
Ginger, how did COVID affect you?
Well, I was waiting for you to say that. I want to show you something. I don't know how it'll be received, but kind of my subconscious and conscious reaction to COVID is right here. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see?
Yeah, we can see it.
You can
Sure.
see it? Okay.
Yeah.
My daughter was a little bit taken aback. She was, oh God, that's horrible. It made me laugh. I mean, it looks really sad, but it made me laugh. But it was so strange because maybe it's just me, but it seems like with all of the fires, the Corona thing kind of went into the background. And I thought, well, maybe I can only handle one disaster at a time, but it was kind of a relief until I looked out and saw crimson skies at night. And then I had, a different kind of horror. And so now I'm settling back into the Corona thing, but the fire was kind of a reminder that it can always be worse. You know what I mean? I mean, I thought the Corona was as bad as it could get, but it can always, things can happen. So the fire was a good reminder of that. And I'm just kind of hanging in there with ups and downs like most people. It does give me a lot of time to paint, and I also sculpt and write. So I stay pretty busy with art in several forms, painting being probably my favorite. And so this whole, everything that's going on has kind of been a little bit of a positive.
Exactly. Nora, what about you?
Yeah, I would kind of agree with a little bit of what Ginger was saying. I teach math 4th grade through 8th grade part-time, and it's just another way in which I'm a bit more of a sciencey geek than anything else. But I teach at the St. James Santiago School, which Katya's little girl just joined as a kindergartner this year. And so all of a sudden we were scrambling and teaching online, but I ended up teaching more time, but just the physical not going there and not coming back, it's not that far, but somehow I had a little bit more time all of a sudden. And that was great. For a while, I was able to do a little bit more work, and that's good for me because I will get these projects and then, all of a sudden somebody wants their Williams Sonoma jam jar done yesterday. So being able to be on top of those deadlines a little bit better was really nice. But otherwise it sucks. I was gonna go see my mom in June. I was supposed to go see my dad in August and, do other things. And now we're back at school, which is kind of bizarre with everybody masked up and we're in cohorts, and it's taking a lot of time. To deal with children at school live in COVID times. It's not great. On the other hand, a crazy little blessing has been, like you were saying about the Irish dance, a lot of people have taken to teaching on Zoom. And so right before this panel, I really actually was taking a dance class with a teacher in Lurgan, Northern Ireland, with people from all over the place, which was not something that was available before. And I am now teaching Zoom art with people from all over the place too, which was, they would have had to travel before. And so, Yeah, about 70% really lousy and about 30% finding some blessings.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm getting a signal that my internet is becoming unstable. So if I disappear, thank you, everybody, but we're going to keep going until that happens. Katya, COVID, what's your take?
COVID. Well, I was doing pretty good because, my daughter went to daycare when she was 3 months old, and I had time with her full time, it was really nice. And I got to, connect to her. And also I had time to just connect to myself as well.
Yeah.
So I also found a lot of meetings and a lot of opportunities, for instance, like plein air conference, which normally I wouldn't attend. You just have to find a babysitter and fly and spend all this money. And so here I could do it from my office, and that was very nice, right? Also, I could do meetings with my friends, so I could stay connected. I knew that it was important. And so we did Zoom meetings with my friends, and we had also a book club we formed. And, it was positive until the fire.
Yeah, I know.
I think I was doing okay. I was trying to balance. It's always, you probably all know how hard it's to balance, or maybe it's just me. And I was trying to do yoga and meditate to just keep myself, like out of going too high or too low. And painting was a big part of it too. So I knew that it was good for me. And staying connected as well. And so the fire was something that, it's like, we were preparing for the tsunami, and the fire we weren't thinking about. So that was something that I really didn't know. And you know how life, oftentimes they say it's unpredictable. So I had to learn it firsthand, and it was kind of like rough learning too. It's like, we don't have certainty. There is no certainty in life, which is, it's very hard. And I think we're all going through this hard time, and it's harder to balance, but I'm doing my best. My house is not as organized, but I'm doing my best. I'm trying to find time to just spend time painting my daily paintings, and time to play with my daughter, and time to just relax. I think rest is good for us too. So, and not to feel guilty about it. Yeah, that's what my goal is, just to balance, do my best.
Find a balance, exactly. As for me, the COVID has been an odd kind of blessing, because I've been in the house. I go out twice a week, and I go to get my mail at the post office, and I go grocery shopping then, and I come back into the air purification area. And it's given me time to actually get the paints out and throw them on the floor with the painting, and just play. There's not been any agenda of other people to take care of and other things I have to do. And so that's been a real blessing for me. I've gotten to know you guys a little bit, and hope to continue doing that. The fire was something that I went through before. I was telling you about, I had a one-woman show, and I had to get my dog and my paintings that were in the show and myself out of the Irvine Laguna fire, whenever that was, years and years ago. And it was the same process this time. It's, you throw the two paintings that you're going to show on this particular panel into the car with your clothes and your neighbor who doesn't drive, and you skedaddle, as they say. But I'm finding that even though it's very unsettling, we don't have time to become complacent about our friends. We don't have time to become complacent about our lives and what we do. And I think for a lot of people that I've talked to who have families, young families now, the fact that they're getting to spend time with their family, I think is going to be ultimately a good thing, because we were living lives that were so hectic in order to make the rent and make the car payments and run around and do this, run around and do that. Kids were all involved in a gazillion things. And basically, I think overall, it's going to be a good thing for all of us. Tom, how do you feel about that?
It's been a little bit surreal. You know, I work both at home and at the art center here, and I'm in the gallery right now, and there's nobody can come visit. So it's been really obviously a very unique experience and time that we're living in. So I've been able to get things done probably in a way that I hadn't before. You know, in the before the COVID, I was really pretty focused on all the day-to-day activity of the building and the galleries, and now it's much more about thinking about the long term and when we come out of this, and you know, really focusing on our mission and how we meet that. And Sarah works with the Oregon Coast Council for the Arts, and so we're really thinking about, Sarah's our arts education coordinator, about how we tailor our educational programming to meet the community. How do we do it online, and how do we also get ready for when the schools open and when things open up? How do we take advantage of a lot of the lessons that we've learned by working online? It's really just like this panel discussion. It's opening up so many different possibilities about how you present both artwork and discussions of artwork and building community. I think one of the greatest things about the Zoom revolution, if you will, is that you can connect communities and in a much more impactful way than perhaps you could before. And you can, from an educational standpoint, I think, you know, you can do things in a much different way. So, you know, out of all this, I think we're learning a lot of lessons. You know, the in-person experience and the in-gallery experience and that live experience, of course, is always going to be the most powerful. But how can you use technology in a way that also is impactful and connects people? So those are, you know, a lot of big questions, but, you know, doing the online art show and doing this art talk series, I felt really good about. And the online art show has over 160 artists, 100 artists from the Oregon coast, or more than 100. And, you know, it's also a resource. I had somebody tell me that they were looking for a list of Oregon coast artists and they couldn't find anything, but they came across the Oregon Coast Art Show, online art show, and that was almost a representation of all the different artists who are, you know, obviously not all of them, but a representation of over 100 artists who are working on the coast. And so I've gotten to know a lot of artists that I never knew about, you know, and I felt like I knew a lot of artists on the Oregon coast, and I do.
It's funny. It's funny how insular we get, isn't it? When you look at it, because we're now on the internet and we're now on the World Wide Web, and it's like how insular we close down into these little cubes of the people we know, the people we're friends with, the people we want to promote, the people that we owe stuff to or we don't owe stuff to. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Tom, but I just needed to say this. I really, for all of us.
Oh yeah.
You know, we ladies, the Lincoln City ladies, are very grateful and really excited to be in your show and to be on this panel. I've had such a wonderful response from my ladies that, you know, I'm really grateful. And, you know, it's an honor to be here. And thanks for creating a forum for us. To you.
Absolutely. And, you know, even thinking about how these different art communities collaborate and connect, there's often, you know, like you say, like sort of insular communities. And, you know, how does the Newport art community connect with the Lincoln City art community? How does that connect with the Tillamook art community? So anyway, those are some questions to think about. I did want to let people know, and thank you all for being involved. We just quickly, and if people have anything to add, they certainly can. But we have a virtual art fair next week, next Sunday, with Karen Gelbard, the Oregon weaver out of Pacific City. I guess it was going to be a virtual tour of her art fair booth, but the fires have affected that, so it may just be an artist talk with Karen. Karen is a very talented weaver out of Pacific City. And then on October 4th, we'll have Hank Pander, the very well-known art painter out of Portland. He'll be doing an artist talk, A Tale of Two Paintings. He'll be talking about the painting in the online art show, as well as his current painting, which is of the federal courthouse building out in Portland, which of course has been a real point of contention. And then just finally encourage people to go to check out the Oregon Coast Online Art Show, and keep in mind that this is all being put together by the Oregon Coast Council for the Arts and the Newport Visual Arts Center. And if you can lend your support by becoming a member or in any other way, that would be most appreciated in these times. So
Well, I just
thank
want to
you,
ask the ladies.
everyone.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I
Final
just wanted
comments
to
or
see if
questions?
anybody wanted to, exactly. Thank you. Anybody got anything to say that they haven't said that they need to say?
Just want to say thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you,
thank
Sydney.
you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everybody involved. And I love all you ladies and your work, and it was really fun.
Blessings to all. Thank
Ditto.
you, Tom.
All right.
right.
Have a great Sunday. It's beautiful out there.
It is. Bye, everybody out there in the world.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.